So the divorce papers are out, huh? Well, it's all good. I'm gonna marry Wendy anyway. I don't need a maid like you. As I was about to leave the house, my husband threw those parting words at me with a laugh. The trigger for this event goes back several days. Oh, what's this? While I was cleaning my husband's room, a photo fell out from between the pages of a book, so I picked it up. I thought, what is this? The photo showed a familiar woman and my husband smiling side by side, with him holding a child of about 3 years old. The woman was our former coworker who had retired upon getting married. So the child must be hers. I convinced myself the child was simply sociable and not shy around strangers. As I continued to clean. While cleaning, I stumbled upon something unbelievable, a filled-out divorce form. I was then convinced of my husband's infidelity. A few days later, when I confronted my husband with the photo, he predictably tried to make excuses. But I wouldn't let him off the hook. I decided to enlist the help of someone to thoroughly expose my husband's true nature. I am Aaron Baker, 37 years old. My maiden name was Hill. Let me start with my story from the beginning. It goes back 14 years when I graduated from university and joined a leading apparel company in a local area. Congratulations to all the new employees on your entry into the company. I hope we can all work together to create products unique to our region. First, learn from your seniors and slowly and steadily get the hang of the work. After the president's speech, it seemed that the seniors who would be mentoring the new employees had already been decided. And they greeted us as well. Aaron, I'm Denise, and I'll be guiding you. Feel free to ask me anything you don't understand. Yes, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you. I was drawn to this company because it was reputed to be deeply rooted in the local community. And the president's speech clearly communicated their vision. How's work going for you, Ms. Hill? Yes, I'm able to work with peace of mind because Denise is teaching me thoroughly. That's good to hear. Take your time to learn the work. I realized through working that the president not only strived to grow the company, but also cared deeply for his employees. He always made an effort to speak to us and offer encouragement, which made me feel very reassured. The president really goes out of his way to speak to every employee and provide support, which is amazing. Thanks to him, everyone is able to work with enthusiasm. Denise, you felt that way too, huh? The president is truly amazing, isn't he? It wasn't just me who felt reassured by the president's words. Listening to my senior's words, I could see that the president was a person of great caliber. Time flew by as I dedicated myself to work under the president, and before I knew it, I was over 30. Then one day, a new employee joined the company through mid-career recruitment. I'm John Baker, and I'll be in your care from today. It's a pleasure meeting you. It was this man who would later become my husband, John. He was 25 at the time and had a fresh smile that made him popular among the female staff. But John's popularity wasn't just because of his good looks. Miss Hill, could you help me with something? Yes, of course. What do you need help with? About this part here. This part is like this. John was very dedicated to his work, eagerly asking senior employees, in an effort to learn his job, whenever he encountered something he didn't understand. John, you're amazing. You've already managed to handle the work on your own, which I taught you. It's all thanks to you, Ms. Hill, and the other seniors who've guided me so patiently. Considering his attitude towards work, it might have been expected. But John was quick to learn and soon able to handle tasks on his own. I was impressed by his serious approach to work and found it enjoyable to work alongside someone I got along with so well. Initially, I just regarded John, who was 5 years younger than me, as a cute junior colleague. Ms. Hill, do you have a boyfriend? Why do you ask all of a sudden? No, I don't have a boyfriend right now. In that case, would you go out with me? Really? Me? You realize I'm a 30-year-old woman to you, right? That's not true at all. I think you're a wonderful woman. I was both embarrassed and pleased by his straightforwardness. As we went on more dates, after several outings, John looked at me seriously and said, I like you, Ms. Hill. I mean, Erin. Will you be my girlfriend? Really? Me? Yes. I mean, I want it to be you. I'm glad to hear that. Let's make the most of it. And so, we started dating. 2 years later. Erin, will you marry me? Yes, I'd love to. John proposed to me, and I accepted. As we talked about our wedding plans and prepared to meet with his parents, a previously unknown fact came to light. Today we're meeting your parents. I'm quite nervous. You don't need to be so nervous. You already know my father well. Really? Have I met your father before? Well, you'll understand once you meet him. Arriving at my husband's home and meeting my in-laws, I quickly grasped the meaning of his words. Wait, is your dad the president? What, John? You hadn't told her yet? Well, I thought it wasn't necessary to highlight that I'm the son of the president. I figured it would come out eventually. There were rumors in the company about the two being related due to sharing the same surname and a slight resemblance. However, I hadn't imagined it to be true. I was really shocked to learn you two were related. So, does that mean you'll take over the company eventually? Yes, that's the plan. There's still a lot to learn though. I hope knowing this won't change how you interact at work. It would help if you treated everything as usual. Understood. After the marriage proposal, we smoothly continued our wedding preparations. And married a year later when I was 33 and he was 28. I thought, but what about work? After getting married, my first concern was about my career. I loved my job and found it fulfilling, yet I also had to consider my husband's future. Hey, John. Do you have a preference for me being a stay-at-home wife? Or are you okay with both of us working? What's the sudden question? I don't really have any preference. It's okay for you to choose whatever you like, Erin. I'm relieved to hear that. Thank you, truly. I was torn between a sense of duty to support my husband in his career and my desire to advance my own career. My husband gave me the time to decide without any pressure. And after several weeks of contemplation, I reached a decision. I've decided to quit my job after all. I'll take care of the house, and you will focus on your work, John. Is that so? All right, then I'll leave the household to you. Okay. Thus, I decided to leave my job and embark on a new phase of life. Based on the time we spent together while dating and observing John at work, I felt confident that our married life would be stable and comfortable. However, things started to change 4 years into our marriage. Throughout our otherwise mundane life, I found myself increasingly troubled by various issues. I occasionally met and sought advice from Denise, a senior colleague from my previous job. I decided to focus on household duties for John's career. But after 4 years of marriage, life without any children, and scarce couple time, I feel somewhat lonely. You were always so dedicated and produced great results at work. Perhaps doing only household chores seems less fulfilling to you? Maybe you're right. As for children, they're blessings, so don't rush it. Let things take their natural course. It's important to talk things over as a couple, and you can talk to me anytime if you find it hard. Thank you, I really appreciate it. Talking to Denise felt reassuring. If I had kept everything to myself, who knows how I would have coped. I felt somewhat relieved after having someone to listen. It helped me to think not to rush about having children. And consider discussing returning to work with John. Thanks to that, we could likely return to a stable married life. On a day filled with such thoughts, while tidying up my husband's room, a photo slipped from between the pages of a book. Upon picking it up and checking it, I thought, could this be? The photo showed a familiar face alongside my husband holding a child. I thought, isn't this Wendy? I knew her name because she was a younger colleague from our workplace. She was 7 years my junior, shrewd, and adept at flattering men. I never had a good impression of this junior, who, before I married my husband, was supposed to have married someone else and retired. So why was there a photo of my husband holding a child next to this junior? The child in my husband's arms appeared to be a girl around 3 years old, dressed for a baptism celebration. I thought, maybe it was just a chance meeting, and the child, being sociable, let herself be held by him? Unable to accept reality, I desperately resumed cleaning. But tears welled up when the next item I found made the situation clear. I thought, is this a divorce form? So, the photo means? The divorce form already had my husband's name filled out. Facing such undeniable evidence, I had to acknowledge the full extent of the situation. I thought, what should I do now? I couldn't let things stay as they were, so I decided to plan my next steps. After some thought, I reached out to someone for advice. The chance came a few days later to talk with my husband about the photo. I found this photo while cleaning your room the other day. What's this about? Oh, that is. You seem quite close with Wendy in this photo. And the child seems very fond of you. What's the meaning of this? Yeah. It was just a coincidence. We just happened to meet and got to reminiscing, and the kid was cute. So we decided to take a photo as a keepsake because we thought it was a rare occasion. With that, my husband attempted to deny any affair, acting as if nothing was wrong. Part of me didn't want to believe it just from the photo. And it seemed difficult to make him confess by merely accusing him of infidelity based on this alone. As I was contemplating this, we had a visitor at home. The person who appeared was a senior colleague. Denise, thank you so much for coming over. It's no problem at all. Don't worry, I've gathered solid evidence. The person I had reached out to a few days ago for advice was indeed my senior colleague. Why is Denise here? And what do you mean by evidence? John, you've done something terrible, haven't you? It's quicker if I just show you rather than tell. What about this? With that, my senior colleague laid out numerous photos in front of us. They showed my husband and the junior colleague hugging and kissing at the office, looking very intimate. Wendy was supposed to have left the company a while ago, but she still frequented the office afterwards. And you, having her hanging on you, look utterly foolish. Well, that's. Consulting my senior colleague was a gamble. The junior had left the company, so the chances of her meeting my husband at the office were slim. It seemed unlikely that approaching my senior colleague for help would conveniently gather any evidence. However, it turned out the junior frequently visited the office and had been in contact with my husband. Denise, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. It was no trouble at all. After you contacted me, I reached out to others who might be willing to help. Thankfully, everyone was eager to assist. I didn't realize that. By her making full use of the company's internal network, it became possible to thus gather evidence of my husband's infidelity. If the junior had not been visiting the office so frequently, we might not have gathered any evidence, so in a way, we were lucky. This can't be happening. Why is this happening? Seeing the evidence of his affair laid out, my husband was clearly distraught, realizing he couldn't deny it any longer. So, I decided to further confront him with another truth. Oh, and about the divorce papers with your name already filled out that I found the other day, I've already signed my name and filed them. What? Why would you do that? Don't joke around. Why he would react so aggressively was beyond me. If he didn't want a divorce, he shouldn't have prepared divorce papers or had an affair in the first place. That's not all. Be prepared because I'll also be filing for compensation. Goodbye. With that, I left the house. As I did, I could hear my husband's pathetic attempt at a parting shot. Go ahead, do whatever you want. I'll be fine because I'm going to marry Wendy. I never needed someone like you who's just like a maid. How pitiful to only be able to spit out such a retort. Moreover, his plans to remarry the junior wouldn't necessarily go as he imagined. Of course, my revenge wasn't over just yet. Aaron, what is this all about? A few days later, my now ex-husband contacted me in a panic. What's got you so flustered? Can't you explain calmly? How can I stay calm? The landlord called me saying I need to vacate the apartment quickly. Did you have anything to do with this? Yes, that. You're right. What? What do you mean by that? Don't mess with me. I wasn't joking at all. It seems he needs a detailed explanation to understand. Remember, that apartment was bought for us to live in together, wasn't it? What are you talking about now? There's no need to say things that are already clear. No, it's important. After buying it, there were still rent payments to be made. If I go that far, do you understand why you need to leave? What are you saying? Weren't the rent and utility payments covered by my money? Since you weren't working, you couldn't have afforded to pay for anything, right? So you misunderstood that. Misunderstood, what? Even though I had quit my job, it didn't mean I was without my own earnings. I was doing some freelance work within a range that wouldn't interfere with household matters. So what? Seems like he still didn't get it. It looks like I have to spell everything out for him to understand. Using the experience I gained working at your father's company, I started an online apparel business, and it went well. I was able to make the payments with my own money without needing to use yours. What? So, after you left the apartment, no payments were made on this apartment? He finally got it. Leaving all household matters to me but not thinking about anything. So basic and important truly astounds me. It's surprising he thought he was the one making the payments all along. This is ridiculous. Do something about it. No way. We're divorced, and since I won't be living there anymore, I have no reason to make the payments. If you want to stay there, you'll have to figure it out yourself. This can't be happening. My ex-husband just muttered weakly. If he's not willing to pay for it himself, then leaving is the only option left. Well, that's not my problem anymore. Is that all? Then, I'm hanging up now. I firmly told my ex-husband and hung up the phone. A few days later, I received a call from my senior colleague, informing me that the president wanted to meet with me. It was important, so he wanted to meet in person. I arranged a time to visit the company I used to work for. A week later, I was at the company, called by the president to his office. Excuse me. Upon entering, I saw my ex-husband and his mistress were also there. I've been waiting for you. Sorry to call you out like this. But why are John and Wendy here? My ex-husband looked down with a grim expression. When I asked about their presence, the president explained the reason for calling me. I only recently found out the reason for your divorce. I thought it was necessary to set things straight. I'm truly sorry for what my foolish son has done. No, President, you've done nothing wrong. Please, lift your head. The president then looked sternly at my ex-husband and his mistress and said, "Right. The ones who should really be apologizing to Aaron are you two. Aaron, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. Ms. Baker, I truly regret everything." Scared by the president's imposing demeanor, they apologized to me. I never knew the usually gentle president could be so intimidating. But why apologize now? I understand you wouldn't have apologized if the president hadn't spoken up. The president sighed and explained. At first, I didn't know the reason for your divorce. It's embarrassing to admit. When I asked John, he would look away, seeming to hide something. I sensed something was off, so I talked to Denise and other employees you were close with. I see. Now I could understand the situation. My ex-husband had an affair with his mistress and even had a child with her. This was the cause of our divorce, which had now come to the president's attention. Dad, please don't be so mad. It was just a momentary lapse. A momentary lapse? Are you joking? What my ex-husband was thinking, I couldn't say. But it was clear he had chosen the wrong way to defend himself. The president values connections with the community. And people highly and detests betrayal the most. Being his son, he should have understood that better than anyone. Enough. Someone like you is not needed in this company. You're fired. Dad, please, have mercy. After being fired, my ex-husband pleaded with the president, who remained unmoved and continued sternly. Shut up. Don't play the father-son card with me. I no longer consider you my son. And don't expect any financial support from me. From now on, you'll have to manage on your own. This can't be happening. The president firmly made his stance clear, leaving my ex-husband speechless and defeated. I thought, right. I need to mention that as well. I had my doubts about my ex-husband and his mistress, but had not mentioned it to him, thinking he wouldn't believe me and would just laugh it off. Now, I felt there was no risk in bringing it up. Hey, John. About the child you and Wendy have. I think it would be wise to do a DNA test to see if the child is really yours. What? Wait, Ms. Baker, why would you say something like that out of the blue? My statement left my ex-husband bewildered and his mistress visibly flustered. Wendy's reaction seems to indicate she knows something. Wendy, what does this mean? Nothing. It's nothing. Don't say weird things, Ms. Baker. It's just strange when you think about it. Wendy had retired to get married before John and I did. I divorced my previous husband. The child was conceived with John after that. Knowing Wendy's history of being close to many men and her reputation within the company, it was hard to take her explanation at face value. If you're certain it's John's child, then there's no harm in being confident about it. What happens next is up to John. I'm just offering advice, not forcing anything. What's that supposed to mean? As she said this, the mistress's face contorted in frustration, while my ex-husband watched her with a look of suspicion. Aaron, thank you for coming today. I'm truly sorry for the trouble. No, I feel relieved now. Thank you. Then I left the president's office. Some days later, my ex-husband contacted me to say he had the child tested. Just like you said, the child isn't mine. I see. It doesn't really matter to me, though. I thought the child might have been from Wendy's previous husband. But given her history of flings, it's unclear whose it is. Apparently, I was the one with the most money when she got pregnant. I see. It's good that the truth came out. It seemed my ex-husband was merely used by his mistress for his resources. If things had continued, he might have been exploited without ever realizing it. He thanked me for the advice and mentioned that he had broken up with Wendy. Later, my ex-husband seemed to reflect on his actions and managed to find a new job. He even began to pay compensation, albeit in installments. As for my life afterwards, Ms. Hill, it's a relief to have you back at the company. I have high hopes for you. Let's look forward to working together again. Thank you, President. I'm looking forward to it too. Despite the past relationship as in-laws, my good rapport and work performance from before my resignation led to my reemployment. It's great to work with you again, Aaron. It feels nostalgic, doesn't it? We used to create great products together. Indeed. Let's do our best again. The president and my senior colleague give me proper recognition. Because of that, I truly enjoy working at this company. I hope to continue collaborating with everyone, working hard, and leading a fulfilling life.